Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Liz Bineski, and I'm the Executive Director of AmCham Abu Dhabi. It is absolutely my pleasure to welcome you to this afternoon's event with our Women in Business Committee, UPS, and IMA. I will remind everybody of housekeeping rules. We are recording the event. Please keep yourself on mute. Hold your questions to the chat box or Q&A, and it is being recorded for your enjoyment at a later time. So at this moment, I'd like to hand it over to one of our co-chairs of the fantastic Women in Business Committee, Ms. Christina Struder with UPS. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Liz, and hello and welcome to the AmCham Abu Dhabi Women in Business Committee event in partnership with the Institute of Management Accountants, leading in the digital age, supported by UPS. My name is Christina Struder. I'm the Vice President of Public Affairs for the Indian subcontinent, Middle East, and Africa. I'm as well a member of the Women in Business Committee, and I'm a proud board member of the AmCham Abu Dhabi. It's my honor to welcome you all to our vitally important and very relevant event today, and introduce our distinguished guests and on behalf of the Women in Business Committee and my fabulous committee partners, Rinat, Veronica, and Hanadi. This is our third Women in Business series of educational webinars in partnership with the AmCham Abu Dhabi's corporate member, the Institute of Management Accountants. We very much appreciate the support of IMA, which has been provided to AmCham Abu Dhabi for many years, and we are proud to host another insightful event after the great feedback we have received from our previous two sessions. At UPS, we are delighted to partner with the Women in Business Committee for the third consecutive year, as we see women empowerment as a critical objective in strengthening our economies. Women have been one of the worst impacted groups during the pandemic, from having to take on greater share of home and childcare, with businesses and schools operating more remotely. Therefore, we are keen to build the skills of women to successfully engage in the economy and prepare for our role in the future economy. As you all are sure to have noticed, the world has changed. The arrival of the internet, video calling, Zooms, and social media were speeding us into a future we saw in science fiction. Our change from science fiction to science fact was brought forward even faster than we thought from the disaster of the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, we face a world where we are physically distant, but virtually closer than we have ever been. We drop into the homes of our colleagues, our customers, our friends, down the street, or across the planet. We connect at speeds far greater than at any point in humankind's history. Yet we often find this new reality challenging. We are challenged to connect with our bosses and employees and lead each other utilizing new digital skills, skills that few of us had the chance to master before the pandemic. We had to learn new technology, build new skills, and still manage the complexities of our human nature in colleagues, customers, friends, and family. The rapid changes and adoption of new technologies, if you're like me, can leave you feeling as if you're trying to build an airplane while actually flying on it. I'm very excited to learn more about the endless opportunities the digital age can bring from our experts today who are joining us for this session. It's my pleasure to introduce our friend and AmCham Abu Dhabi Women in Business Committee member, Hanadi, who will moderate the session, and our two panelists, Hiba Daboul and Noura Al-Katani, who will help navigate and co-pilot your airplane as you lead into the digital age. Hanadi is IMA Senior Director for the Middle East, Africa, and India operations. Since assuming her role in IMA in 2013, Hanadi has led the efforts to establish and grow IMA's operations and has successfully designed programs and initiatives engaging key industry stakeholders, including corporate, universities, and local chapters, volunteer leaders, resulting in a double-digit growth in IMA membership. She's a strong advocate of women in leadership and change in the workplace and passionate about continuous learning. It's so great to have you on the committee, Hanadi. Hiba is our finance business partner with over 17 years of experience in the fast-moving consumer goods and automotive industry. She currently leads finance for Nespresso Asia-Pacific zone in Switzerland. Hiba is a strong believer in continuous development and making the best of what one has. And last but not least, Noura is a seasoned corporate director, having served at the Ministry of National Guard Health Affairs for over 22 years. She holds 3 master degrees in the fields of healthcare and hospital administration from King Saud University, a Master of Science in Medical Sciences from the University of Glasgow in Scotland, and an MBA in finance from the University of Manchester in England. As you can see, she's a tremendous example of continued learning. What a great panel of industry experts and thought leaders today. Thank you to all the AmCham members and friends who joined this event today and for lending us your valuable time. Hanadi, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Christina. It is a pleasure to be with you all. And I also would like to welcome Hiba and Noura. I've known Hiba and Noura for a long time, and I'm really thrilled to be co-hosting this webinar with them. So really what we are looking to achieve from this webinar is to help us prepare ourselves as leaders for the future by identifying ways to transform and enhance leadership strategies given the current technology trends that Christina, you just talked about. Next slide, please. So in our agenda today, we'll try to cover the 10 technology trends, the challenges in implementing new technology impact on leadership, and what we think are the 10 skills for digital leaders. Next slide, please. So let's begin by looking at the trends in technology before we look at their impact. Here are the first five technology trends we are seeing in the world: the big data and the Internet of Things, new technology based on big data, business intelligence, analytics, and the Internet of Things are reaching into every area of business life. An oft-quoted statistic, although not entirely provable, says that 9/10 of data available today was created in the past 24 months. This big data gives business leaders unprecedented amounts of information and the analytical tools for improved decision-making. Mobile computing. As of February 2019, research estimates that more than 5 billion people have mobile devices globally. Businesses and consumers are increasingly using mobile devices to access their data and the internet. Next slide, please. Increased connection. As broadband and high-speed internet, although I struggled with mine this afternoon, continues to permeate households and businesses, people can have high-speed, two-way conversations via video streaming. TV and broadband services will continue to converge. Although there are current services like Zoom, the one we're using today, that offer face-to-face interaction, they are nothing like the picture-perfect high-definition transmissions, which will be available in the near future. Next, please. Artificial intelligence, or AI, continuing refinement of the tools and techniques to increase efficiency. Smart machines are some of the automation trends for technology. The advent of optical character recognition, or OCR, it's a software that is now simplifying the amount of manual entry of data required, along with the increasing accuracy and speed. The same also, and probably we are more familiar with, the voice recognition softwares such as Siri, Alexa, and other tools. So modern AI software cuts cost, increase efficiency, and handles more processing volumes with less error. Next, please. Customization and personalization. Consumers are used to buying goods and services now customized to their liking. Business owners and managers want the ability to personalize their buying experience from their service providers. The key is to offer clients a standardized menu of products and services while having the ability to customize the process for individual clients. This is done by taking advantage of workflow technology and incorporating software to build scale and create efficiency and efficient service delivery. And here are the next 5 trends. The RPA, or robot process automation. Robotics are automated, complex, and repetitive tasks and processes with extreme accuracy, reducing operating costs and increasing efficiency. Next. Cloud computing. It's a type of internet-based computing that provides shared computer processing resources and data to computers and other devices on demand. This allows people to perform tasks from a location from any location, as well as the ability to deliver information and reports through the cloud. Next, social media, of course. We have been at IMA using a lot social media to engage with our stakeholders, be it current or potential stakeholders, and it is expected to continue to evolve to provide a sales and marketing platform that can instantly connect firms to current and potential clients. Next, please. Integration. Customized integration solutions are changing the way business operates. So today it is possible to link ERP, CRM, and CMS software, as well as legacy applications, to create a unified environment where authorized users from every department can access the information they need at any time. Alerts can be also set up to call attention to any error that do occur, preventing the snowball effect that cripples productivity. Next, please. Okay, perhaps this is one of the negative impact of technology, which is cybersecurity. The explosion in global consumer demand for and access to technology and technology-enabled services has led to new and potentially very costly business risk and challenges. Cyber fraud, personal information theft, and even cyber terrorism and espionage have highlighted the importance of enhanced digital security as a new normal for business. And I remember we had an discussion, Nora and I, specifically about the cyber security. So I'm gonna start with my first question to my panelists, which is also a poll question. So I invite all the attendees as well to participate in this question. So of the 10 technological trends, which two have you seen impact your work the most? Hiba, shall I start with you?
Yes, of course you can, but I'm not just going to answer you about the top two, because if I were to answer, I would say all of them. I'm going to start with you from the whole process, from somebody going to buy coffee on a retail floor or in a boutique, from geo-marketing, where you could pick who do you want to communicate to, pick your target consumer, or to VR, where you experiment an experience with or a product with a customer, to perhaps what you mentioned on robotics and AI, with solving a problem or answering a call or answering a query for the CRC, for example, or back office, be it the SAP HANA, or be it on like you mentioned, the robotic process automation that takes away a lot of the administration, to more user-friendly tools like Power BI. And I mean, I think technology has touched on all of our processes, but us being in the field of informed decision making, I think the one challenge that comes back quite significantly out of all of these technologies and what it enables is really, for me, is big data. Because we used to say it's important not to miss the woods for the trees. Now we say it's important not to miss the trees for the grass. I mean, the amount of information available is tremendous. And then how do we make use of all of that and make sense of this data that comes through? Just as a quick example, everybody, you look for a ticket to go to Dubai, and then the next thing you see on social media is that, and then is the same information coming back and back again to you, and it becomes too dangerous to an extent where this information is all over, and then how do companies use it, and how do us in the field of finance also use that information, instead of making it creepy, all the way invading our privacy, to making it delightful to come to a good customer experience. So I think all of them, to answer your question, it's all of them at different levels. And yes, and I think the biggest challenge we have now is to manage all this huge amount of data that comes our way to make relevant and informed decisions.
Thank you, Hiba. And I think the audience also share your answer with the big data and the Internet of Things being one of the top two with 44%, and then the cloud computing on 33%. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Hiba. Nora?
I will stick to one, although I would like also, as Hiba mentioned, cybersecurity is one of the issues, but I'll stick to the integration. The integration is the most we have seen an impact at an organization level, and as well as at a national level. The investment of the Ministry of National Guard in technology, it goes back to the late 1996 or even earlier. And as an old organization that embraced technology, you tend to have different solution, different application from within your organization that you need to maintain, upgrade, and update. This is led to create a function with our ISID, which is Information Management System. It's called the architecture of the solution and systems. We mapped every single solution we have. We go through category, putting them in a catalog, and it was not an easy walk, to be honest, but it worked to do the exercise. After that, we integrate them from within the organization. We integrate also with a significant partner, such as the bank. Also from a finance point of view, we need to do a lot of transaction with banks, with other government institutions, since we are also part of e-government. And as you're familiar, also in the GCC country, there is a focus in the e-government. And our e-government started the project in 2003 through something we called Yes Sir. The entire government have a requirement that you have to fulfill. So it's a mandatory, it's not only by choice. And just this week, 2 days ago, it's now the whole electronic government is even get bigger in scope with the change in the construction and the standards that you have to go with. So integration is the most important. The most critical is cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is something that anyone embrace technology should take it in consideration. And we paid a lot of focus on that, and also we invest a lot of resources in terms of knowledge, in terms of time, in terms of money as well, from different parts of the world, from North America, from Russia, from Europe, because this is one of the things that we want to bring more strength to the organization.
Thank you, Noura. And I remember you mentioned that Saudi Arabia is one of the countries that is most affected or with cyber attacks. So I'm sure it is a large challenge for business leaders. I mean, to keep the information safe, be it financial or personal. Let's move on. So some people are probably worried now that we've listed all the technological advancement. You're probably worried that AI or robots might take away their jobs. And we've seen that question popping up a lot before COVID. That was basically the talk of the business world. How much of are we secure in our jobs? Next slide, please. So Bernard Marr, in an August 2018 Forbes article, identified some job skills that humans do better than AI and robots. These include, next slide, empathy and communication. While AI might detect that a new product line is not performing as expected, it probably isn't the one to communicate that to senior leadership or the development team. Humans are much better at communicating sensitive information. Next is critical thinking. No matter how advanced our AI may be, we still need a human to make judgments and critical decisions, even to go with our gut in certain situations. Our decision-making may be enhanced by technology, but the actual making of decisions is still best done by humans. Next, creativity. Computer programs are good at spitting out a number of options, but they are not necessarily good at providing quality creative choices. It will be quite a while before AI and robots are uniquely creative. Next is strategy. Automation tools can take over a lot of tasks for us, but they are just tools. They don't provide the overall strategy needed to give the individual task meaning and relevance. That takes a human being. Next is technological management, installation and upkeeping. While someday we might, and probably, we'll have robots that are able to create, manage, install, and keep up with other robots, that day is still far away, and humans are still important to manage, install, and upkeep technology. While you might not be looking to become a computer scientist or technician, understanding how technology works and how it can support our job is extremely important. Next is imagination and vision. The way AI currently works is by taking existing data and making logical references based on parameters that we give to it. Imagination and dreaming are not programmable skills, at least not of yet. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So really, if you are concerned that your job might be one day outsourced to technology, the best thing you can do right now is work on your soft skills, work on communication, on strategic thinking, on problem solving, on empathy and creativity. So due to technology, more and more companies are moving to being data-driven. I mean, Hiba, you touched also on that factor. And this requires really creating structures, processes, and incentives. Again, Nora, you talked about this integration to support, because without that integration, you will have bits and pieces of the process. So all these have to be integrated to support analytical decision-making. In a strategic finance article, Strategic Finance is IM's award-winning publication, Rafe Lawson identified 6 key factors for successfully establishing a data-driven organizational culture. And here again, culture is very important in every organization. And having the right tone at the top. In most organizations, senior leadership are the champions of technology. Having strategies for the effective use of technology. Companies whose decision-making is reactive to the competition are less likely to have developed strategy for the effective use of techniques and technologies. Being reactive instead of proactive usually implies that these organizations lack the ability to predict trends or to turn customer data into useful insight that can be used to enhance the organization business. Because big data, if not used correctly, or if even not choosing the right data, it could just be really a bulk and a burdensome on companies. Third is really a commitment to collecting and using data from both internal and external sources. Using also the both monetary and non-monetary reward to promote analytical decision-making. These would be the use of incentives. It is key to convey the importance of developing enhanced analytical capabilities throughout the organization. So when we say the tone at the top, yes, but we also need to put in place some incentive programs for our team. And of course, the willingness to adequately provide resources to the analytical efforts. By far, the most frequently cited challenge is the ability to find staff with the necessary skill set. The next common resource challenge is budget. And a third challenge related to the previous two is the lack of staffing resources and competing priorities. Clearly, the four essential elements needed for companies to develop advanced analytical capabilities are data-savvy people, quality data, state-of-the-art tools, and organizational intent. And they are all really interrelated. And the sixth factor is alignment of analytics efforts throughout the organization. Now, it has been argued that CFOs, and not because we are accounting and finance professionals here, but it has been argued that CFOs should own analytics as they are regarded as impartial guardians of the truth. Most companies seem to agree. Some other popular options include analytics being owned by IT, or a dedicated analytics group, or operations, or having each department independently maintaining its own analytic capabilities. Next slide, please. So leaders, as we've said, they need to identify and hire employees with the new skill set required for the technological shift. But not all skills are necessarily technology focused. Data analytics skills are critical for finance team, but more nuanced skills such as storytelling are equally relevant. Employees must not only be able to consume vast amounts of data, but also be able to construct the story from that data. Also, as part of change management, employees must be trained on new technologies. Leaders must stay on top of technology evolutions. Roles such as data scientists are becoming more prominent in leading finance organizations, but all finance roles must have elements that look to the future to build talent and develop employees. And finance team members need to be more comfortable getting out from behind the desk and engaging directly with operations to tell the story, predict outcomes, and guide decision-making, which requires team members with a proactive leader mentality. Leaders also need to develop this mindset within their team. At IMA, we have a tool, the Career Driver, which can really help finance professionals assess their skills in light of the skills needed in the future of the profession. The next slide. So what are the items to address with the new technology? And when we want to implement new technologies, these items will give you some areas to plan and consider. And I'm gonna validate these with my two guest speakers. So adapting new technology because it's new, right? We need to research any new technology we are considering thoroughly and ensure that we will gonna use it. So we should ask ourselves, what problems does this solve for us? And does this have added value compared to low-tech alternative? We need to create a vision around the technology we want to use. Who will use the technology? Why we want that? For what goal? How will we measure the progress of these technology? So it's preferable that to start small focused, and then so check one problem at a time of what can be solved from this new technology. Money, I'm not gonna go through that, especially with the COVID time. We know how budgets are tight. Very important, getting everyone on board. Again, systems and procedures, new technology must be integrated into current business processes, as Nora mentioned as well. Again, professional development and training. We cannot implement technology if our staff don't understand what we are required. So definitely development and training, very important. And of course, with every basically project management initiative, we have to monitor the progress and see whether really is the company demonstrating success and making progress towards this goal? Is usage what was expected? Why or why not? And last but not least, maintaining enthusiasm. I know with the COVID, we everybody shifted to the digital platform, and most companies had some success. So what is next? What can we improve in year 2? And in case we didn't meet our goals, what need to change? So I'd like to ask now my panelists, and of course the audience as well, which items would you consider the most challenging when considering new technology? Hiba?
Yes, reflecting on the options on the screen. I think from experience, what I've seen, the most critical and the most important was creating a vision and getting the buy-in, getting everyone's buy-in. We had several projects implemented at Nestle at the time. One big ones, I'm talking big ones here, where we had to streamline, for example, order to cash, record to report, hire to retire, source to pay, etc. So here we're talking really huge project, global projects. And at the beginning, like every project, when you want to kick off change, there are people who do not think this is important and we just need to close the month and the year and all of that, and this is not a priority, right? And if those people happen to be at the top, you can imagine that it will echo all the way through the organization, and it doesn't take more than a quick corridor talk over a coffee to get the whole project, sitting in the corner until somebody asks about it. And so I've seen the great leadership and alignment on vision, and to make sure that it starts from the top, really, to say, this is what we're going to do and this is where we're going to do it. It's not going to be perfect. You might not benefit from it immediately, but we're all in this together. And this is where you start to see that things start to shift, and being quite vocal about the negative voices that come, because they will be. I mean, it faces any challenge to say, you know what, let's sit and talk. Even if you do not agree, you'll have to buy in and because of this. So not just hiding or ignoring the voices that do not believe in, and then addressing the top, doing a good project management, like you just mentioned, having a project team, having a budget, following through the KPIs. I mean, if at one point in time you would get into the premises of the building and every room would have papers stuck on the wall everywhere, people just brainstorming and scribbling, and really doing the project management as it should be done. Having monthly updates, we used to report the progress every single month to the board on each of the streams, and having people accountable if they do a good job. And the one element that I would not underestimate at all, on the contrary, I would perhaps highlight, is communication. So we used every occasion possible to communicate success stories, proud learnings even, and ensuring that people are engaged, because eventually the quality of deliverables highly depends on the quality of the people who are on the project. So yeah, I hope that wraps it up.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, indeed. I mean, communication, That is key in everything we do, I think. Nora, any comments from your side?
Hiba went with a great detail with all of the 5 items you listed. I would agree with her. One of the most, if not the most important and critical, is C, getting everyone on board. And not only getting everyone on board, actually keeping them engaged throughout the life of the project. In some projects, it will not be few months. It may take 1 year or 18 months. And for me personally, since I worked in multiple projects, if I want to evaluate myself and my team and everyone, it's that we start together as a team and we complete together without losing anyone. Because as you're aware, team dynamic is very important. We have to go with a lot of tool about conflict resolution. It's mentioned as we also mature organization, we have projects that go through playbook, and the playbook will require a very strict project management style, and any project management methodology will involve everything related to communication, also the way to be able to get input from everyone. You need to execute, to have order, and you have to have structure, but also you need the creativity. You need people to challenge you. The most creative people, unfortunately, are not the one that can keep you to execute. So you have to understand yourself, understand your team, and try to use to upgrade your skills and assist them. Or maybe one of the tools you will present will be very essential for all of us, the participant in this session, to be able to have your right and left brain function as well. Some people are very structured. I'm one of them. And it's really not the best thing you can do to yourself. You have to allow some chaotic initiative and some chaos in your life in order to be creative. Also, organization try to, because you do not develop it in-house, the solution, you develop it, you acquire it. And the international company that you spend huge money, they already invested in the R&D. And they have workflow. They have best practices. If you're gonna go and customize it and redo the whole thing, is not the optimum thing. And also, you do not want to have an open solution. It's need to speak to the organization. So you need to find that balance, and you cannot do it without getting everyone on board. And if you get them on board, keep them engaged, this is gonna maintain the enthusiasm for the whole project.
Thank you, Nora. And I think our audience as well have the getting everyone on board with 63% as one of the main challenges, which actually brings us to the next section that I want to discuss, which is the transforming leadership, because you touched on communication, we touched on engaging everybody, and that needs leadership skills. So what are we expected? What is now expected from leaders? Next slide. So we are expected to be leaders driving value-added results through effective use of technology. And this will require evolving shifts in our leadership skills. Technology is moving leadership away from leadership at the top of a pyramid to leadership on demand, or leadership as a service. Technology is also taking over lower level tasks and freeing team members to focus on creative problem solving and storytelling, which require more coaching and development from leaders, because this is all new skills that needs to be required. So the leader has to be aware of the need of the training and development for their staff. And leaders also, of course, should leverage technology to enable team achievements, to create a shared understanding and alignment around strategic goals. And Hiba, you mentioned communication, and I think when everybody understands the strategic goals, the vision, and everybody is aligned towards that vision, then the communication flow will be a lot easier. And of course, develop a broad group of leaders who remove obstacles to strategic goals. Technology dissolves the idea of a wise leader at the top of the pyramid and replaces it with an enabler who works fluidly with the team to drive the success of the organization. Next slide, please. So some further ways that technology has impacted leadership: flexibility. Technology has created unprecedented levels of disruption, forcing leaders to balance multiple challenges while navigating change and promoting innovation. And successful leaders will not necessarily be the people with the most experience or expertise, but those who possess and develop the competencies of agile leadership. And I think we all also faced the leading from a distance, especially during COVID. And that trend actually has started before the pandemic, with 70% of people around the world working from different locations and shifting completely to remote working, of course, during the pandemic. So virtual teams are already an integral part of many companies. The demand of leading these virtual teams is a huge challenge, and I have faced this challenge, because we are accustomed to managing face-to-face teams. So effective virtual leaders will have to build trust, create a high-touch environment, empower team members, and influence without authority. Companies cannot afford to cling to siloed mentalities any longer. To influence without authority, leaders must find common ground, build trust, establish credibility, their credibility as leaders, and extremely important, know their team. Next slide, please. Technology enables leaders to motivate and inspire others. It allows a leader to move beyond the traditional approach and get more out of the team. Leaders can pull back the curtain on their roles by leveraging the technologies that is now, we're all using it, big Microsoft Teams, social media, the global conferencing software, or the video platforms. Technology platforms give leaders the opportunity to communicate missions and goals directly to the entire employee base and answer questions that may arise. Next slide, please. So really, we can use technology to help us with collaboration, with teamwork, and with relationship management. And again, I mentioned the Microsoft Teams or Slack or other form of softwares where we can form teams on the fly as need arise and allow natural leaders to emerge as needed. The modern planning and reporting softwares use the intranet to push data to frontline users with reports and dashboards that monitor results continuously, so everyone gets the same data at the same time. Technology also allows everyone to provide input and share ideas that lead to innovation. Innovation is not limited to a specific department or group within the company. It should, and technology allows the idea to percolate quickly from the front line, from customers, from suppliers, or others in the value chain. And of course, social media tools. Finance leaders can build a presence on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. These will allow their team members to know more about them or the wider organization as well, to connect with them. And I would like actually to ask now my panelists, how would you describe the change your role has been through pre and post automation, and of course we cannot dismiss the COVID or the era. Hiba?
Yes, perhaps I mean, pre and post automation perhaps is a bit of a, okay, it depends on how you describe automation, but I think I'd like to focus on the pre and post COVID mostly because it wasn't as easy. I mean, we're humans at the end of the day. I remember it was perhaps Feb last year when they told us go home and then come back only when we tell you to come back, and my productivity was skyrocketed. I was performing really well, and then at one point in time I was like, okay, when do we come back? And the whole morale started to go down, and with it goes productivity. And it wasn't until there was some time passed before I found my sweet spot of productivity by figuring out, where do I want to sit? Where's my space? How does it look like? How do I optimize my life now that it's all blurred with work? And then I never stopped working. It was 8, 9, 10, and it's like, no, I want to go back to the office. I want to stop when I leave the office. I want my mind to be clear when I leave the office. So it wasn't that easy. It definitely changed my routine, which is very important to my productivity, but also the communication with the team. You know, you start with a to-do list beginning of the day, and then at 6 o'clock, oh, okay, let's get started now, because of all the meetings that come in between. And I think the COVID taught us that some of those meetings are not necessarily, they shouldn't be that long. They shouldn't exist in the first place. So we start to have perhaps less of those meetings and more meetings where the importance of communication becomes even we need that meeting. The meeting exists because of a reason, not because it's a meeting that's supposed to happen. So I think the importance of communication within the team, and what I found helped me a lot and changed the way me and my team work together, is the element of humanity that was driven all the way from top of the organization. Then we cascaded it also down to the rest of the organization. The genuine care behind the interactions that we had, taking time to have a coffee. So we scheduled virtual coffees. This was a good meeting to have, not a bad meeting. And asking people about how they are, keeping safety top of the conversation, starting with that every call, and really keeping those conversations going. It helped me. I know it helped the team, and being open about the things that work and the things that do not. I mean, I remember receiving calls just for somebody to vent, because you know what, we need to vent at one point in time. So keeping it human, keeping it relevant, and prioritizing. I think because it blurs the home and office, and there's a lot to be done, I think prioritizing becomes even more important. So yeah, if you start a day with a clear mind of, anyway, your routine has changed. So start today with a clear mind about what needs to happen today. What's the one thing that needs to take place today, and make sure that happens and organize the day around it. I found that very helpful, and a bit of self-discipline to know where to stop, that I'm struggling with, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that this blur between the blurry line between office and home. But if like, is there a skill or that you felt you need to work on, or maybe to acquire to meet this new age, new era of working and doing business?
Yeah, I think the one skill that I found more at demand, and I definitely found myself dealing with more frequently, is being comfortable with gray. You know, in finance, we are used to black and white. We're used to results. We're used to numbers. And yes, we deal with gray. But when gray becomes the replaces the black and white, it's a different level of challenge. And with distance, I mean, with distance, it makes it even more difficult to do that. So it's not just about the forecast, but it's also about the dealing with people, because when you're sitting with somebody, you're kind of reading the body language. You're making sense. You're reading the environment. You talk to. It's different, and then you have to be comfortable with that. And the second skill, I would say, communication. Because you need to definitely make a lot more efforts to get all that energy communicated on a screen that is very rigid. So yes, making the effort to enhance communication is the second one for sure.
Thank you, Hiba. Noura, your take.
Hiba covered it. I think for all of us. She speak for me and for most of us when it's come to the COVID era. I think it's a typical day for all of us, which you just described. I'll focus in the pre and post automation and how it's impacted my role. As I mentioned earlier, the transition was not last year or the year before, which actually started the journey of adapting technology. It took the organization more than 20 years. And the pre and post, it's really different. When we started back in the 90s, I would for sure know that technology is the future, but really didn't become crystal clear for me until it's come the era of the smartphone, the 2007 and all of that, where you really do not talk about technology. Technology is a reality. And then after that, the social media, and then the entire world goes with you. So most of the project with the digitalization of the whole world, the nation, the community, it's not specific to your project within your workspace. It's actually technology impacted you. So, and it changed you as you adapt it in multiple area, multiple level. One of the things is that, as you mentioned, and you do not have a say about it. It's not a hierarchy anymore. The title will not help you. It's not about your authority. You can hold the title, but someone in the team more knowledgeable, more skillful when it's come to the soft skills are the one who's influencing the team. And actually, he's the one who's, leading the whole organization, not yourself. And we want more of this. We want employee. Actually, there is no up and bottom and middle as we know it. It's actually shared. And we do not hoard information. We need to share it. The morality, the ethics, the accountability even is more, because you start to have more empathy toward people. At the same time, you have to balance it with accountability. And the accountability, you need to know what standard we need to hold ourselves and other accountable about. And we have a conversation about these things. And it's a daily, it's not something that you need to establish and don't forget about it. As Hiba said, it's something you can touch up on in a coffee that you schedule, informal meeting that you need to have. So it teach you actually to lose the title, it's humble you. It's request that you reassess regularly your skills. You try to learn as much as you can, and your ability to be coachable. Because the problem with most of us that we have a blind spot, that we think that we know, we had enough being through a formal course. And in the technology, you really do not need much of a degree, although the degree is very important. The structured courses are important and you have to update with it, but you have to have hands-on. Technology means hands-on. So I encourage myself and women in general, because we need also to lead as a women in that front, which is the technology, that we practice leads on. more than anything. And we will not do that without being follower. More than leadership, you have to have a fellowship. How are you as a follower? How are you as a learner? How are you as an influencer? How are you also as hands-on individual attached to the reality? That's the most important thing, that and the skill set, it keep changing. That's one of the things that we need really to reassess ourselves, keep updating, attend courses like the valuable information you gave to us, read more about it and learn more about it regularly, not even within a year gap. Some people, they say, okay, I will take this course and it will prepare me for these. Nowadays, that approach is not relevant anymore. It's not useful anymore.
Thank you, Nora. I think we're getting close to our time here. There's a lot to say, obviously, especially with Nora and Hiba, two really seasoned professionals. My last slide that I will leave the attendees with is the 10 skills for digital leadership. And really, Hiba and Nora talked about it all, be it the mindset, the communication, the technical skill, the peer relationship, the team building. I will have this as my last slide, and I don't know if there are any questions. Christina, Shurat, shall we open it to questions?
I would say so. I think the audience has been very, very quiet. Please don't hesitate to share your questions for Hanadi, Nora, and Hiba.
All right.
Maybe let me ask you a question. Looking at the region, do you see there are different challenges when it comes to the digital age when we're looking at the UAE or perhaps Saudi Arabia or Qatar? Do you see there's differences between countries? How far we are and what are the biggest challenges for those people living there?
Is this question for me?
I think you can split it up. Anyone who would like to contribute?
From my experience, really, UAE, Saudi, I think it all depends on the investment that the countries have made in the digital and technology infrastructure for businesses. And I know UAE and Saudi have done tremendous investment, and Nora can validate this. I don't see there's much, the challenge is the same cross borders. I think globally, this change in automation, digitization, and the COVID, the challenge is the same. Now, businesses are at different stages of their automation or technology adaptation. So the challenge might differ in intensity, if you wish, but I think overall that these are the challenges everywhere.
Thank you.
Hanadi, one of the things that GCC countries are all of them, all GCC countries, that they are centralized and they adapted to the e-government. And this has really helped a lot. Although this part of the world are not the producer of the technology, but they are the most in advantage of utilization of technology compared to a lot of country, even advanced country from where this technology about, which is that the approach how it's being adapted at a centralized level from the government. that give it more impact and give it also the spread of it, and of course the resources. As you know, GCC country budget can afford these type of initiatives. But if that's for GCC country do not have that big difference among the member of the GCC. If you compare it to different regions, you can see some differences. Sometimes it's not for the advantage of the GCC country. Sometimes it's for other countries. We have our own challenge. But I think the most important thing is that we did it in a very uniform, centralized manner, because governments are behind the lead.
Excellent, great. I think that took off the entire hour now. So perhaps if nobody has a question, we can close the event. If you would like to, you can put your cameras on. We can do a group picture, everyone joining us. If you would like to put your cameras on, if you can just take off the presentation. So, okay, I think our audience is very shy today, not only when it comes to questions, but as well when it comes to a group picture in the virtual environment. Okay. So, good. I think, Sharad, maybe you took a picture of everyone?
Yes, I did.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much. Very relevant topic. I pass it on to Liz to close the event, and I appreciate all your efforts, and thank you for everyone participating and lending the time.
I couldn't say it better, Christina. This was a really well thought out and well organized, content driven event. And thank you everyone for participating. Hiba, Nora, Christina, and of course, Sister Hanadi. Thank you all for attending today. This concludes our event. Go forward and have a wonderful evening. Take care now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.